Hello and welcome to Don't Panic PPC. I'm Meriem and with me, as always, is Veronica and Thuha. Three awesome PPCers having chats we wish we had a very long time ago. Whether you're deep in Google Ads or you're just trying to make some sense of the chaotic Google Ads, Meta Ads, and every other account you can think of, we're here and this show is for you. Grab a coffee, tea, glass of wine, or whatever you need, and let's have a chat.
So today's episode, we are going to have a little chat about ourselves. Who doesn't like talking about ourselves? But maybe the listeners would want to hear about our backgrounds and how we got into PPC and what we're doing now and all of that jazz, so that hopefully we find other people out there who can relate. So who wants to start?
I think what we should do is ask you questions about why you got
Okay.
into PPC.
Yes, because this actually happened earlier, didn't we? We started the conversation and we were like, this is podcast gold. But how did it start? It was like, we were talking about people taking breaks from PPC, weren't we? Because they get burnt out and what have you. And so that's when I launched into, that happened to me when I was 30. And I had a year out of PPC, which shocked you both. So, and I'm curious, why did it shock you?
Because I'm not a quitter.
Oh! Just get in there, Meriem.
That was a joke.
Okay, cool. So what happened there, just to give you a bit of context, I was working at an agency. I'd been there nearly 5 years, and it just got to a point where I was working from 8 in the morning. I was in the building 8 in the morning, didn't leave till 8 at night. And I was just like, no, this isn't the life for me. And at that time, PPC was still, it was new, but quite competitive. So I started in 2006, and then 2010 was when I left the agency. And the only other thing I thought I'd do is, on my bucket list was to be a maths teacher. So I trained to be a maths teacher, and that's what I spent a year doing.
That's amazing. I mean, to be honest, you turn into maths makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's still shocked that you quit it. I guess because I guess the issue was really the agency, not the job. I mean, not the career itself. But I think sometimes you are so stuck that you cannot really see that you ended up hating what you are doing, while actually the problem is other.
And that's a really good point to bring up. And that's what I tell people as well, like when they talk to me about career breaks and things like that. Like, I think you can go back, because at the time I thought I'd fallen out of love with PPC. And then I came out, decided I didn't like teaching. I got an in-house job and really, really enjoyed it. And it was like the company ethos, how they treated the employees, the people I worked with. I ended up staying in that company for nearly 7 years in the end. That helped me fall back in love with PPC. Oh, how the PPC community is so lucky.
I have a weird question for you. So when we first started in PPC back in the day, like, you can tell why you would move to maths, because we did loads of like data analysis and math stuff. Thinking about PPC now, does it kind of make you sad that we don't do that kind of stuff as much as what we used to?
No, not really. I think there's different ways to think about it. So, just to give you a bit of context. So I was one of those geeks at school who loved maths. So I went on to do a maths degree. And so but I really wanted to go into marketing, and I ended up in PPC. So I think with PPC, especially in all of the disciplines, but if I look at it in the Google Ads side of things, there's lots of different facets to the job. So you might be very good at the creatives, or you might be very good at, I don't know, analysing the data or blah, blah. But I foresee with the PPC role, if you wanted to go deep, or if you like the math side of it, you could start going down like forecasting or something related to machine learning. But I think there's always an element of maths. And that's why actually I was employed with my first agency that I worked with, they took me on because back in those days, nobody had experience in PPC, but they took me on not because I had a maths degree, but because I had A-level maths. They didn't even care about my degree. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's the point. Back then,
yeah.
it was really important. Like when we used to hire people, when we spoke to grads, it was maths. Like
Brain
we
labs.
needed them that.
Brain labs were used to just hire maths people, didn't they?
But I think there's still an element of it, but it's all to do with trend. With like the with LLMs now, if we can start learning how to use them to train on data, but then it all goes back to data, right? Now this is where I geek out because I'm like, it all goes back to data. If you've got good enough data to work with, who knows where you go?
Yeah, I think you're right. That it has changed what you may have need from a maths person back in the days. So they would be like bid management really to something more into AI related, that is data and AI training. So yeah, I think you're right. There's still the element, but it's a different area that you need now.
Yeah, I think it's completely different. Like if you have a look at job specs now versus back when we first started, it's just you need to be able to speak. How good is your prompt? I wonder in like years' time when we're doing interviews and supporting agencies hiring, one of the tasks is going to be show us the most recent prompt you used in Claude. And like, people have to show you a prompt to see whether you know how you're using AI.
Then I would question the interviewer because I'd be like, well, what are you basing my prompting skills on? Because I talk to a lot of people about their prompting and there's no like really a go-to framework. I mean, the only one I remember, the only framework I remember is CoStar, and that's that's the latest training that I've had. But I don't know, have you guys heard of the CoStar framework to prompting?
I need a link for that. And I think a lot of us may need that link.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
There is quite a lot of people are talking about a lot of frameworks. The basic framework of when you're asking a question into ChatGPT, you need to remember that you're not talking to somebody who's at the same level as you. You're talking to an 8-year-old unless you tell them who they're supposed to be thinking as. And a lot of the conversations about AI is the fact that you're asking it a question and it doesn't know how to answer it properly because you're not really telling it how to answer it, like who to be. So a lot of the prompts which I've been seeing recently give it a role. So like, you are A, and that's how I need you to contemplate this information for me.
So
And
I'm going to challenge that. Oh, carry on.
No, I just wrote that because I remember the post you did about that, about AI, that I added that information about how good I'm finding it to then modify the information for the other person. So I am using it a lot to say, act as blah, blah, who is talking to the CEO, who is talking to the finance director, who is talking to, so then AI becomes the paid media specialist and is translating my geeky thingies that I struggle to translate into that finance director so he understands it. So I'm finding that act as who talks to super useful.
So I'm going to challenge Meriem like on what you've just said, because I would say that in the early days, prompting was always like, oh, this is your role and blah, blah. But how does it work then? Because sometimes I use ChatGPT to be almost like my counselor. It's like, it gives me parenting advice. I'm like, oh, my child did this morning. How should I manage this later when she's calmed down and all this? Oh, it's brilliant. ChatGPT like lifts me up. It says, oh, sounds like you're really going through a hard morning. You're doing a great job. Well done. And then it launches into whatever advice it is. So like at that point, I've not said to it, oh, be my counselor or be my coach or anything. It just already knew what to say to me.
Is that because you've got the settings on learning, so it's actually learning about you from every single chat you've ever had with it?
Well, I recently checked it and I've got it on the last 30 days.
Yeah, so if you have many conversations with AI, it is gonna pick up on that.
Yeah,
also,
so I have
ChatGPT
had
strokes your ego. Sorry,
I have had that, and because I do the same. So my ChatGPT is my parent counselor, my stylist counselor. Bless her, it has a lot of roles. And I was asking her something about career and career movements. And she did mention, you should do this because then you will have more time to spend with Lucia and Sophia. It freaked me out.
No, she mentioned the children.
It freaked me out.
She's like your best friend.
Yeah. She knows too much about me.
Does that not kind of freak you out though?
Freaked me out a lot. Like maybe I'm into too much, and then the US is going to have all of my information and send me to jail or something. Yeah, so you're right. Like I think it learns a lot, and at some point it may not really need that much context. Maybe
that's the problem, because I feel like sometimes AI gives you wrong answers because it thinks that that's what you want to hear. It's like, one of those friends which you have, which you're like, I'm having a really shitty day. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And you're like, no, I just need you to tell me the hard facts. Like, please don't pat me on the head and patronize me. Can you just tell me the answers? And I feel like sometimes, especially like ChatGPT more so than Claude, tends to be that, I'm so sorry, this sounds so difficult. Oh, don't worry about this. That's definitely, it's not you, it's them sort of thing. If you think about some of the things which you read about and that toxicity of the positiveness on things, like sometimes it's good, but then sometimes it's like, yeah, no, I don't, please don't try and pat me on the head. Can you just tell me, like, is this correct or not, sort of thing? And that does worry me.
Enough of this AI, and I guess it's just because if it tells you something that makes you feel happy, you will reward it, so it will keep going. So I guess that's the thing you have to be aware of that process of feeding into it. I guess you can just challenge it and say, no, be honest, be a bitch.
Oh my goodness, we should do that one day. I've never done that. I wonder, like,
be a sassy bitch and tell us the honest answer for these three questions.
I have done something with Alexa, asking her like, Alexa, am I ugly? I will say, she will say something very beautiful like, beauty is in the soul, or something like that. How to spend your Friday evening if you have nothing to do?
Got no one to talk to. I'll just talk to. I can't even mention the name.
Should we try setting off to some people's Alexas right now?
I hate it when that happens, when you're in a meeting on a work call and then they say something. I don't know. They mention something about Alexa, and then it's like, boom.
You have a notification.
Sorry, I don't understand that. I'm not talking to you.
I do find sometimes Siri does that. And on your phone, and it turns into the lines around the phone. It's like, would you like me to help you? I'm like, no, I'm scrolling on my phone. Go away. They're always listening.
My phone doesn't do that. Yeah, it is always listening. Yes, we know this.
Coming back to our starts, because I haven't heard how Meriem started in PPC. And
I haven't finished asking my questions.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, Miriam's got more. Let's carry on.
One of the questions I was going to ask is, obviously you're a freelancer now. You work for yourself. You have your own company. How long have you done that, and why? What made you transition from being employed in that safety net into that wild world?
Okay, so I started freelancing in 2018. Goodness, I can't believe it's 8 years. Like, I've managed to find money to pay my bills by freelancing. What instigated it was that the in-house role that I had, that I'd been in for nearly 7 years, my role was made redundant. And then people were saying, right, you've got a young child, because at the time my eldest was 4. Say, oh, you've got a young child, why don't you try freelancing? I don't know, I did nothing. I was very naive and what have you. I thought, oh yeah, I'll give it 6 months. I'll see how it goes. So I just went away and looked into it and then set myself up. And then I was just so lucky. I was just offered work from various people on my network. And I feel like I'm plodding along, but not really. I think I have been intentional, but have I answered your question?
Yeah, you did answer my question. You got made redundant, and then you had really lovely people who supported you along the way.
Yes, I have.
If you could talk to yourself, those first 6 months of freelancing, or however, until you got to that point where you were like, okay, we're okay. If you could go back and give yourself some advice, what advice would that be?
In practical terms, if I could go back, I would say get myself Google Workspace, because I was using my email address. Set up an account as my email address. But then I had issues with, so I was working with Google Analytics, Google Ads, and then to add that email address in as a user, just remember being, if you had an @gmail.com, it was really hard to get into people's accounts. And once I moved over, I paid for Workspace. Everything was so much easier. And I was like, why did I not do this sooner? For anyone else was going into freelancing, that's the one thing I would say, like, don't be stingy and just do it if you're working with Google products. Just get a Google Workspace.
I got Google Workspace straight away because that's what I did. That was
Well,
my
you did
treat
the right thing.
for that
I
form.
was being stingy. I thought I was
mean,
only going to last for 6 months.
I wasn't allowed to not last. That was just it. That was it for me. It was like, let's go for it.
Yeah. Cool.
Veronica, how long
Meriem.
have you been doing PPC?
So I think I started PPC as soon as I came to the UK, and that was 2011. And I started in a very small, so I came to the UK. Back then I was 24, and I came to improve my English. So I joined a little agency where I live in Brighton to do an internship. The internship was for 3 months. And after 3 months, they hired me. And I kept doing PPC. I mean, to be honest, I didn't start with just PPC. It was a digital agency, and I was helping with everything that was going on. So I was helping with the SEO, I was helping with the PPC, I was helping the web developers. As the years pass within that agency, and I touched all of those areas, I was finding PPC the most enjoyable. So I started myself pushing there, like every time a client was coming who needed PPC, was like, I'm doing this. And little by little, I start saying, I don't want to do the SEO, I don't want to do the email, I don't want to do anything, I want to do the PPC. So it was like that.
So you worked agency side. You've
So
worked
I was with the
client
agency.
side and freelancer?
So I was with the agency. Then at some point, there were the bits that I guess I was enjoying the agency side in terms of diversity. I was hating the fact that you are a slave of the client. So if the client wanted you there on a weekend, you will be there on a weekend. So I wasn't enjoying that. So I moved to in-house because of that reason. So I was in-house for the next, I think, 8 years. And then I had my second kid and I needed a lot of flexibility. And I decided to start freelancing. And at some point was, okay, the flexibility is great, but I want the stability. And I'm a very anxious person. So Thuha said that one important thing is to be chilled. I wasn't chilled. I wasn't chilled at all. So at some point, we're like, oh, I cannot deal with this stress of always being like, am I going to have work the next 3 months? So I found a role in house that it was very flexible and part-time, and I joined them. So basically, my career choices have been very driven by motherhood, really. That's my summary. How about you, Meriem? Can I ask you now? 4 time.
I don't want to share, damn it. I want to find out more about you. When you became a freelancer, did you have a child at the time of becoming a freelancer?
Yeah.
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 What
I had my second one.
You had your second one. Okay. If you could go back and have a conversation with yourself, in your first 6 months, is there anything which you would go back and tell yourself?
I think one is exactly what Thuha said, being more chilled. I wasn't chilled. I was very stressed. And I think another thing that Thuha did very well that I wasn't doing that well was to reach the network more. To be honest, that is something I have had to work in life. Is asking for help is not a weakness; it's a strength. And until very recently, asking for help was for me a weakness. So if I had to come back now, I will definitely ask for help because people is a strength. Ask for help. It is a strength.
But like, you need to give yourself some credit though, because is that not how we met though, Veronica? Because you started
Yeah,
networking. So that's a way of reaching out to other people and
yeah, but
finding
I
help.
was being. I don't feel I was there, but I wasn't fully there because I was
Okay.
very nervous. And I remember asking help to you because I
Mm.
feel very comfortable with you, and you're a
No.
person that really inspire trust. So I feel I could be vulnerable with you. So
Mm.
I think you were the only person I asked help to. So
Mm.
like you were great, but I think I should. Yeah, you need to say out there, hey, I'm freelance and I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I think
I
you were
think
the only one who knew it.
yeah, I think you're spot on. That's actually a key thing about freelancing and building that network and reaching out. Like you can't do everything on your own, and having that support with you, and hence why it's great being here with you guys. But so do you think, Veronica, that like because you didn't feel that secure when freelancing, that's why you've gone in-house?
Yeah, definitely. That was the reason. But like I need
Mm,
I need stability. I do struggle. So if I don't have my next year planned, I struggle. So that's my
mm.
homework for me is to learn to be IT more chill.
But I
Six.
think I think you're not the only person. Like I know in the last 6 months, I've had so many people who freelance go now into permanent roles because of rising living costs.
That's a very good point. I think we are very lucky. We are in an industry that allows you to have the options, and you should take it as life asks you to do it. Really, like some stage in your life you will need A, and another stage of life you need B.
Mm,
And we are very lucky we can choose A or B.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You love
This
these
is so
philosophical.
cute.
It's so cute. Miriam is loving this.
I'm like, oh, this is so cute, guys.
It's so cute.
I'm just gonna have a little cry.
Okay, next
Oh
time,
no,
Miriam.
it's your
uh,
hormones.
Next time, my
Oh
lovely
no,
Miriam. How did you
I think
start?
it's. How did I start in PPC? Well, um, so I think at the time I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, which I do probably at least once a year. And back then, a very, very long time ago, I was looking in my local newspaper because I needed a job. And in my local newspaper, it had all the jobs because, back then you used to be able to
Yeah.
actually see jobs in
You
newspapers.
said like look at the job in newspaper. That's a long time ago.
Well, guys, my first PPC job was from an ad in a newspaper which said, "Do you love the
Wow,
internet?" and
That is
and
that is
I
gorgeous. That's
applied.
that's
like hearing life.
crazy.
So
I sound so old.
you applied to an analogical art to do
I
digital
applied
ads.
to an ad, which basically an ad in a newspaper which said, "Do you like the internet?"
Digital art. A paper ad to do digital art. I'm loving this story.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
It still makes me laugh now. Obviously, everybody had internet. You had internet cafes. You had all of that, but it was so cool. But I've always been quite techy. I want to be a coder. I'm a gamer, so it was kind of a no brainer to find something to do with computing. But then advertising, I was like, oh, this is a dream. So then I started that, and my whole first 2 years of my career was literally just mostly doing SQRs and campaign builds. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? And then one of my best friends was moving to Manchester because the BBC was just opening up in Manchester. And we were like, oh my God, I'm coming with you. So then we were like, woohoo. And then I moved to Manchester and worked at some big agencies, and it was all awesome. Um,
Oh.
and it just went on from there. And I just really enjoyed doing what I'm doing. And PPC has been fun. Like, I did want to get into paid social, and I've always felt that PPC and paid social are similar. Not in terms of like creativity, because you have to wear two very different hats. Paid social is about the images, but you still need to be able to look at the data and analyze it after. Whereas PPC originally wasn't about what you're seeing, it's about what people are searching, what people are thinking, and that side of things. So I really just quite like both of them. And then I did a bit of freelancing on paid social whilst I was doing PPC. I decided to move back home and leave Manchester. I worked at an agency, got really anxious, stressed, hated it. And I was starting to hate PPC. I need to do something. And a lovely person who was doing SEO at the time was exactly the same as me. but she was getting stressed. She was miserable. And she's like, I love SEO, but I can't do this anymore. So she's like, I'm going to quit and become freelance. And I was like, so am I. And I was just, so I became a freelancer, and it was insane. And it was the September before COVID.
Oh no!
It was wonderful though. It was absolutely wonderful.
Oh,
And the one thing
good.
I will say is never ever burn bridges, because most of my clients I've worked with at one point or another, or they know somebody else who I have. So on the, like, I think it was February, I started doing freelancing for like agencies, and the lovely John Lewis, somebody I worked with many years ago, was like leading the team. And they were looking for somebody to support, like head up the PPC department for a couple of months. I've not been client side before. This sounds fun. And I applied, and 2 weeks after I started, COVID hit, and that was it. And I stayed, and I had a job, and I was very lucky. So whilst
That was
everybody else
lucky.
freelancing really struggled, I thrived, and I feel really guilty for it at the same time.
No,
But I'm
don't
very
feel
lucky.
guilty.
That's good.
Why did you feel guilty?
Because a lot of my friends who are freelancing and a lot of my friends' agency side were all made redundant or out of work.
Right,
Like,
yeah, but they're not furloughed.
some were, but as soon as they got back, so many agencies
that's
cut their
unfortunate.
teams. Yeah.
Oh, COVID was strange. That's another episode in itself. But I was really lucky because there was about a 2-week period where clients were putting me on hold or blah blah, and part of me was thinking, oh, what am I going to do for money? Because the support, you can't furlough yourself as freelancer. So there was 2 weeks of worry, but then I was thinking, oh, you know what? I've got a young child. She's scared, like what's happening with the world and everything. I should just focus on this. My husband was a key worker, so he was out working. But then after 2 weeks, all of a sudden, zoom, like the work came in, and I was working all hours, like beyond midnight sometimes, just because I was supposed to be homeschooling my child during the day. And then I was like trying to work the rest of the time. It was horrible. But I felt like I had to do it because, like you said, Meriem, there's so many people out there who couldn't work. So, yeah.
It was scary.
It was a very scary time.
But then in general, in freelancing, like since then, obviously, flip-flopping between, everybody's like, what do you do as a freelancer? How do you get your work? And I see so many questions about that. And honestly, I wish I could write down how I got work, but I don't know. Just you have to be there. Your community, it's just putting your thoughts out there, being open about it. And a lot of people try and hide like information. If somebody asks a question and they're like, how do you do this? People just look at it and breeze pass it by. I don't have time for that. Whereas I think that you should give these people time, because you don't know, and I'm not saying it in a selfish way, but you don't know in 2 years' time whether they need a freelancer, and that freelancer could be you. So you should help everybody, basically.
Yeah,
that's my opinion, though.
But I think, Meriem, you're right with you have to be there, and you have to be part of a community, really, and helping each other, because then again, like, even it's the constant help that helps you out as well. So it's selfish, but it's also building the industry.
Oh, Veronica, have you created a lovely segue into the next thing we need to talk about? I think
I have. And this wasn't planned.
Talking about helping the community and lifting others up. Shall we first say congratulations to Jill for making it to the top PPC influencer? The PPC survey. I love Jill. Like, thoroughly deserve it. I've actually got her book. I know there's no point me showing it on the camera, is it? But like, yeah, I've got her book ready for her to sign when I meet her in Manchester.
Yeah, we'll all be taking our books to be signed in Manchester in June the 24th.
She reckons she's got another book coming out. But I don't know if that was an exclusive first on my LinkedIn post. I did ask her, but she just gave me a giggly emoji. So I'm like, what? But I don't know if I got an exclusive or not. But I'm going to tell everyone I did. No, but that's really cool. And it was really lovely to see a few names I recognise. So congratulations to Sophie. I'm super, super duper proud of our girl, Sophie, representing UK and the females.
That brings also the conversation about Boris and be more like Boris.
We do need to be more like Boris, or everyone needs to be more like Boris.
Because can someone summarize what Boris did? Which is beautiful.
Oh, yes. So Boris put up a post, which I've lost now, but he basically charted how many females were listed in that top 50 list in 2024, 2025, and then this year, 2026. And I can't remember the exact numbers, but there's basically a downward trend, unfortunately. There's a lot less females in that list. A lot of us are now creating a fuss and saying, okay, right, how do we get more females on there? I mean, I don't see myself on there, but having this podcast is probably a good way of getting us with female. Maybe we should be on there.
How's about we take a step back, right? Because we're talking about being on the survey, but actually, ultimately, do you actually know what you have to do to be in the list? Do you actually know the factors?
I'm only guessing.
Yeah,
do
exactly.
You?
Yes, I do, because they show you on the website.
Oh, nice. Go on, read it then.
Okay. So one of the biggest problems, and one of the things, if you looked at your original 100 list, you would have seen more of our girls from LinkedIn on there.
Yeah.
How many people actually know about this list? Or do they just know the top 50 at the end? Who actually goes there and actually does the PPC survey?
Oh.
Not
Men,
enough.
a few men.
Yeah.
So what?
Okay, so there's loads of agencies who don't do it around the UK. So when I do my consultancies, when I go into agencies and work with them, none of them have ever heard of it. It's mostly the people who actually know about this outside of the usual lot tend to be freelancers like us lot who are connected to the people in the list. But, for example, a lot of people follow Jill, so they will know about it because obviously Jill shouted about it recently. So if actively everybody was like, right, in my connections, I have like 6,000 people. If I can get those 6,000 people to go vote for me, fantastic. But people just don't do that anymore. I feel like also in terms of PPC communities, females in PPC communities are very quiet. If you go back and have a look at some of the communities out there which are available compared to PPC, so the SEO community, Women in Tech SEO, that community is huge. It's thriving. And if you have a look at Amplify Me, which is one of the channels in there where women are sharing their posts and what they're doing and saying, hi, can you come and amplify me? You should see it. It's so uplifting and so wonderful. Brilliant. But if you look in the PPC community, we tried to do a Women in PPC 5 years ago. It was dead. We're just different to the Women in Tech SEO community where they're sharing and they're thriving and we're very quiet. Like, yes, there's a WhatsApp group where people will ask questions, but who's actually just chatting and, enjoying it? And I feel like that's missing a bit in PPC.
I think that's part of our job, really. Join us.
Join us on the Don't Panic PPC community on Discord.
But that's not a plug for Don't Panic PPC. That's a plug for you. In PPC, so many things are changing. Like scripts. People didn't even understand how to upload a script. I was in a chat once and somebody was like, oh, no, I can't use that script because I don't know how to use it. And I'm like, you just upload it. This was last year, by the way. This is why you have a community. Come and ask questions. Don't feel stupid. We all ask questions, or we spent like 7.5 hours sitting one day and trying to figure something out to make it work. We can help each other if you just get involved and ask the questions. And I feel like too many people are scared in PPC because there's just so much freaking noise. Yeah, sorry, I'll stop ranting now.
No, it's right.
I think that is so needed to say because it's point. And yeah, we need to be there. We need to be supporting each other. We need to be sharing information, and we need to stop being scared, shy, anxious. Can be there.
And if you don't know, say you don't bloody know. You're allowed to not know information. The other day, in the Don't Panic PPC Discord, I was like, the end date on a site link, does that end at 00001? No, 0001. Or does that end at 29:59?
Oh my God, I ask this all the time.
Not 29.
And then I even have to
23.
check with my client, not about the setting, but when the client says, oh, I want this promotion to end on this date. And I was like, okay, well then can some people still use this promotion up until midnight of that day? Or is it the deadline? And I had to be very specific because I'm like, oh, but then I need to make sure I set it right in the Google Ads. So I need to ask.
And for me, can we please do it? Because I have the same issue. Can we please finish it in the day at 7:00 p.m.? So I know that 7:00 p.m. is for sure that day at 7:00 p.m. The midnight really confused me. So I don't
Yes,
want that.
you could do 11:45 p.m., but do not use midnight.
No, because it's the day before, the day after. So please do it at 7 p.m.
Yes, we
But
all have the same issue. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been
Yeah.
in, how long have we been in the industry? And I was just sitting there, I was going, I just can't remember. For the life of me, I can't remember. And I asked. And like,
And there
it's
is something
okay to ask.
there is something that Thuha mentioned at the beginning, that also within our industry, there are so many areas where you can be better at, as you say, like more maths, more creative, more analysis. And all of us have our strengths, and I may be very good at one thing, but really, scripts are not really my thing. So a lot of times I have to ask, hey, what is wrong with this script? And then you have someone like Thuha who is
Exactly,
amazing
yeah.
with coding, and
Yeah.
she will find the issues straight away. And it's completely fine because we all have within the same areas of PPC or strengths. Or, I remember once when I was starting, I was specialized in travel, and then I got my first e-com client, and I was starting with Shopify. And again, it was Tuha who helped me because she's
Now I ask Meriem, but now I ask Meriem.
we shouldn't feel shy because there are so many different things within our industry that we
Yeah.
cannot know all. And we will know something and we be very good at something and not be that good at something else. And it's fine.
It all comes down to, like, when people ask questions about, oh, how would you do this? And then you end up answering, well, it depends. So it really depends. It does depend on the context and what have you. And so as an expert, you can't be 100% expert on. You're the expert at knowing who the other experts are.
I want that one. I love that one. Yeah.
Did you know that the tagline to Don't Panic PPC, so on our logo it says Don't Panic PPC, and underneath it says because it always depends.
Really
Because in
good.
PPC there's no right answer. It always depends.
I've always wanted a t-shirt that said it depends, so that when people ask me the question,
Would you like a Don't Panic PPC t-shirt?
Oh, I would love one. Thanks. Would it say it depends on the back or at the front?
I just put the logo on it because it says because it always depends underneath it.
Oh,
So it says Don't Panic.
amazing. Yes, I need it. Please. I'd love it.
Ladies, it has been an utter pleasure to have this conversation about our careers and where we are now. I think what we'll do for next week's call is I'm going to share with you the ranking methodology for 2026 for the PPC survey, so we can deep dive into that and have a little look. You'll notice in there, one of my pet peeves is the fact that it has bugger all about community in there. And yeah.
Oh, because some of those people on the list would score really highly for that as well. Yeah. Yes.
But I will share that with you so you guys have a look, and we'll have a great chat next time about that and take a deep dive and actually chat about like PPC people and how freelancing and how we get our visibility and stuff like that as well. I think would be important if people want to hear that.
I think that's a good one because I get asked about that actually. Lovely chatting
Our cups
to you
of
guys.
teas are definitely cold by now, but we hope you loved today's episode like we did.
That's a wrap for today. Huge thanks to Meriem and Veronica. And as always, it's a joy doing this with you. If you found this episode helpful, please do hit subscribe so you never miss us. And if you have a spare 2 minutes, a review means the world and helps more people find the show. And if you miss us in between episodes, you can follow us individually on LinkedIn, find us on Instagram at Don't Panic PPC, or come hang out in the Don't Panic Discord community. All the links are below the episode. Until next time, don't panic!